The spaceship Odyssey hurtled through space, its hull battered by a sudden meteor shower. Alarms blared, and the control panel flickered erratically as Captain Jack Harper, a seasoned Australian astronaut, fought to regain control. "Brace for impact," he shouted, gripping the controls tightly. The crew, Dr. Emily Carter, Lieutenant Ryan Foster, and Dr. Lena Rodriguez, strapped themselves into their seats, bracing for the inevitable crash. The Odyssey slammed into the surface of the unknown planet with a bone-jarring thud. Dust and debris filled the air as the ship skidded to a halt, its engines sputtering and dying. Jack unbuckled his harness and rose, his legs shaky but determined. "Is everyone all right?" he called out, his voice steady despite the chaos. Dr. Emily Carter, the biologist, coughed as she waved away the dust. "I'm fine, but we need to check on Ryan. He was closest to the impact point." Jack nodded and hurried to Lieutenant Ryan Foster's side. Ryan's face was pale, and a deep gash ran down his forehead. Dr. Lena Rodriguez, the physicist, quickly assessed his condition. "He's unconscious, but stable for now. We need to get him proper medical attention soon." Jack activated his wrist communicator, hoping to contact Mission Control, but all he got was static. "Communications are down. We'll have to find help on this planet," he said, scanning the horizon. The landscape was lush and vibrant, unlike any planet they had seen before. Strange flora glowed with an ethereal light, casting a serene glow over the crash site. "Let's move out and see if we can find any signs of intelligent life," Jack decided, leading the crew cautiously away from the ship. As they ventured deeper into the alien forest, they couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Suddenly, they emerged into a clearing, and there, standing before them, were the inhabitants of this planet, a group of stunning alien girls, their features both mesmerizing and otherworldly. The leader of the alien girls, Aliera, stepped forward. Her eyes, a striking shade of violet, studied the newcomers with curiosity. She spoke in a melodic language, and though the crew couldn't understand her words, her tone was welcoming. Jack raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "We come in peace," he said slowly, hoping she would understand. Aliera nodded and gestured for them to follow. As they walked, Jack observed their surroundings. The alien civilization was advanced, with sleek structures and technology that blended seamlessly with nature. Despite the beauty, there was an undercurrent of tension. The crew's presence had not gone unnoticed by all. They arrived at a central building, where Aliera offered them food and water. As they ate, she used a device to translate their language. "Why have you come to our planet?" she asked, her voice now clear and understandable. Jack explained their situation, the crash, and Lieutenant Ryan Foster's condition. Aliera listened intently. "We can help you," she said. "But first, you must prove your intentions. Our world has faced threats before, and we cannot afford to trust easily." "What do we need to do?" Jack asked, sensing a challenge ahead. "You must complete a series of trials to demonstrate your integrity, strength, and intelligence," Aliera replied. "Only then will we assist you." Jack exchanged glances with his crew. The stakes were high, but they had no choice. "We accept your challenge," he said firmly. As they prepared for the first trial, the crew's determination grew. They knew their survival depended on their success. The first trial tested their problem-solving abilities with a complex puzzle. Working together, they combined their skills and knowledge, eventually solving it. Aliera watched, impressed by their cooperation. The second trial was a physical challenge, requiring them to navigate a treacherous jungle filled with unknown dangers. Jack took the lead, using his experience and instincts to guide them safely through. Along the way, they encountered bizarre creatures and natural obstacles, but their teamwork prevailed. As they completed the second trial, a sense of camaraderie formed between the crew and their alien hosts. Jack and Aliera began to bond, learning about each other's worlds and finding common ground. However, not everyone was pleased. Zarella, one of Aliera's followers, viewed the humans with suspicion and resentment. Jack Harper stood at the edge of the clearing, his mind racing. The alien girls had set forth a series of trials to test the crew's capabilities. He turned to his team, their faces reflecting a mix of determination and trepidation. "We need to be ready," he said, his voice firm. "These trials are our only way to get the help we need." Dr. Emily Carter, always the voice of reason, nodded. "Let's do this," she said, glancing at Lieutenant Ryan Foster, who was still weak but conscious. Ryan managed a faint smile, his resilience shining through despite his injuries. The first trial was a test of intellect. They were led to an ancient structure, its walls covered in intricate symbols. Aliera explained through the translation device that they needed to decipher the symbols to unlock the next phase. Jack and Lena quickly set to work, their combined knowledge of linguistics and physics proving invaluable. As they worked, Jack couldn't help but notice Aliera's keen interest in their methods. He could see the curiosity in her eyes, a mirror to their own fascination with this new world. These symbols seemed to be a mix of mathematical and linguistic elements, Lena observed, her brow furrowed in concentration. Jack nodded. "Let's start by identifying the common patterns," he suggested. Slowly but surely they began to make progress. Hours passed, and the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the clearing. Finally, with a click, the door to the next trial opened. The crew shared a moment of triumph, but there was no time to celebrate. They moved forward, deeper into the structure. The second trial was a physical challenge, testing their endurance and agility. They were led to a dense jungle, its foliage thick and unforgiving. "We need to stay together," Jack instructed, leading the way. The jungle was alive with the sounds of unfamiliar creatures, and the air was thick with humidity. The ground was treacherous, with hidden pitfalls and slippery roots. Jack moved with caution, every step deliberate. Suddenly, a creature resembling a large, bioluminescent lizard darted across their path. Emily gasped, her hand instinctively reaching for her sidearm. "Steady," Jack said quietly. "We're in their territory. We need to respect that." As they pressed on, the challenges grew more intense. They had to climb steep cliffs, cross rickety bridges, and navigate through dark caves. Each obstacle tested their physical limits, but they pushed through, driven by the urgency of their mission. Throughout it all, Aliera and her followers observed, their expressions unreadable. Midway through the jungle, Ryan stumbled, his strength failing. Jack quickly moved to support him. "We're almost there, Ryan. Just a bit further," he encouraged. Emily and Lena flanked them, providing additional support. Together, they managed to keep moving. Their perseverance paid off when they reached the end of the jungle. Aliera approached them, her demeanor showing a hint of admiration. "You have done well," she said. "There is one more trial you must face." Before she could explain, a loud noise interrupted them. Zarella, the alien girl who had shown distrust from the beginning, emerged with a group of her followers. "These humans do not belong here," she declared, her voice filled with anger. "They are a threat to our way of life." Aliera stepped forward, her voice calm but authoritative. "They have proven themselves in the trials. We must honor our agreement." Zarella's eyes flashed with defiance. "You are blind to the danger they pose. I will not allow this." With that, she signaled her followers, who began to advance threateningly. Jack positioned himself protectively in front of his team. "We don't want any trouble," he said, trying to defuse the situation. "We're just trying to find a way to get home." The standoff was intense, but before it could escalate further, a low rumble echoed through the jungle. The ground beneath them shook, causing everyone to pause. Aliera looked alarmed. "This is not normal," she said. "We need to get back to the village now." Reluctantly, Zarella and her followers backed down, and the group hurried back through the jungle. As they reached the village, they saw the source of the disturbance, a massive, mechanical device emerging from the ground, pulsating with a sinister energy. It was unlike anything they had seen before. Jack turned to Aliera, his eyes filled with urgency. "What is that?" Aliera's face was pale. "It is a weapon left by an ancient enemy. We thought it was dormant, but it seems to have reactivated." The realization hit Jack hard. "We need to stop it," Together. Aliera nodded. Yes, but we will need your help. Jack Harper and his crew stood in the village square, staring at the massive mechanical device that had emerged from the ground. The pulsating apparatus radiated an ominous light, casting eerie shadows on the surrounding structures. Aliera, the alien leader, looked grim. This is a relic from an ancient enemy, she explained. We thought it was dormant, but something has reactivated it. Jack exchanged a glance with his team. We need to understand what it is and how to stop it, he said. Emily, Lena, let's take a closer look. As they approached the device, its surface bristled with unfamiliar markings and controls. Dr. Emily Carter, the biologist, examined the intricate designs. These patterns look similar to the ones we saw in the trial puzzle, she noted. They might give us a clue on how to deactivate it. Dr. Lena Rodriguez, the physicist, nodded in agreement. I'll run a scan to see if we can decode any of its functions, she said, pulling out her handheld scanner. The device hummed as it analyzed the structure, displaying data on its screen. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Ryan Foster, though still recovering, kept a vigilant watch, ensuring their safety. We've got company, he warned, pointing towards a group of Zarella's followers who were approaching with clear hostility. Zarella, still skeptical of the humans, stepped forward. You have brought this upon us, she accused. Your presence has awakened this threat. Aliera intervened, her voice firm. This is not their doing, Zarella. We must work together to resolve this. Jack stepped up, addressing the crowd. We don't want harm to come to your people. Let us help you disable this device. Zarella hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. Very well, but know this. If you fail, it will be on your heads. With the tension diffused for the moment, Jack, Emily, and Lena continued their examination. It appears to be some sort of weapon, Lena concluded, but I can't determine how it functions without more information. Aliera turned to Jack. There are ancient records in our archives that might help. They are written in a language we no longer fully understand, but perhaps you can decipher them. Jack agreed. Emily, stay here with Lena and continue the analysis. I'll go with Aliera to the archives. As Jack and Aliera made their way to the archives, they passed through the heart of the alien city, which was both beautiful and enigmatic. Aliera glanced at Jack. Our ancestors built these structures to protect us from the threats of the past, she said. We never imagined we would face them again. Jack nodded. We have a saying on Earth. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. In the archives, they found ancient scrolls and tablets covered in symbols. Jack and Aliera worked together, cross-referencing the patterns with what they had seen on the device. Hours passed, and finally, they uncovered a crucial piece of information. This diagram shows how to initiate a shutdown sequence, Jack said, tracing the lines on the tablet. It's risky, but it's our best shot. Returning to the village square, Jack explained the plan to his team. We need to input these commands into the device's control panel. It should trigger a shutdown, but there's no telling how the device will react. Emily and Lena nodded, ready to take on the challenge. As they approached the device, Jack input the first command. The machine rumbled, its lights flickering. Keep going, Emily urged, her eyes fixed on the control panel. Suddenly, the device emitted a high-pitched whine, and a wave of energy surged through the air. The ground shook violently, causing everyone to stagger. It's destabilizing, Lena shouted. We need to finish the sequence now. Jack continued inputting the commands, his fingers moving swiftly over the controls. The machine's whine grew louder, and cracks began to form on its surface. Almost there, Jack muttered, his focus unbroken. With one final keystroke, the device shuddered and then fell silent. The lights dimmed, and the energy dissipated. The ground stopped shaking, and an eerie stillness settled over the village. We did it, Jack breathed, relief flooding through him. The device is shut down. Aliera approached, her expression one of gratitude and respect. You have saved us, she said. You have proven your worth beyond any trial. But as the villagers began to celebrate, Jack noticed a faint hum coming from the device. His eyes widened in realization. "It's not over yet," he said urgently. "There's a secondary system. It's trying to reactivate." The mechanical device roared back to life, its lights flickering ominously. Jack Harper's heart raced as he realized the threat was far from neutralized. "Everyone, back away!" he shouted, guiding his crew and the alien villagers to a safer distance. Aliera's eyes widened with fear and determination. "We need to shut it down permanently," she urged, her voice steady despite the escalating danger. Jack nodded, his mind racing for a solution. "Emily, Lena, we need to figure out a way to deactivate the secondary system. There must be something we missed." Dr. Emily Carter and Dr. Lena Rodriguez hurried back to the device, their minds working in unison. They scanned the structure, searching for any clues that could help them. "There's a secondary control panel," Lena pointed out, her finger tracing the lines of the ancient designs. "It's hidden beneath these panels." Jack and Lieutenant Ryan Foster quickly pried open the panels, revealing a complex network of circuits and controls. "This looks like a backup system," Emily observed. "If we can disable it, we might be able to shut the entire device down." As they worked, Zarella and her followers watched warily. "You better know what you're doing," Zarella muttered, her suspicions still evident. Aliera stood beside Jack, her confidence in the humans unwavering. "They have proven themselves capable. We must trust them." The ground beneath them trembled as the device continued to activate. "We don't have much time," Jack said urgently. "Emily, what's the plan?" Emily analyzed the circuits quickly. "We need to cut off the power supply to the core." "Lena, can you handle the wiring?" Lena nodded, her hands steady as she began to work on the intricate circuitry. "I'll need a few minutes," she said, her focus unbroken. Jack and Ryan stood guard, ready to defend against any potential threats. As Lena worked, Jack glanced at Aliera. "If this doesn't work, we need to have a backup plan." Aliera nodded. "Our people are ready to assist. We have weapons that might help contain the device at least temporarily." Just as Lena finished reconnecting the final wire, the device emitted a deafening hum. The ground shook violently, and cracks began to spread across its surface. "It's destabilizing," Lena shouted. "We need to move now." Jack and the team backed away, watching as the device's lights flickered erratically. The air was thick with tension as they waited, hoping their efforts would be enough. Suddenly, the device's hum ceased, and it fell silent. The lights dimmed, and the ground stopped shaking. A collective sigh of relief swept through the crowd. Jack approached the device cautiously, his eyes scanning for any signs of reactivation. "Is it over?" he asked, his voice echoing in the stillness. Emily and Lena double-checked the circuits. "It looks like the shutdown was successful," Emily confirmed. "The device is deactivated." Aliera's face lit up with gratitude. "You have saved us once again," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "We owe you our lives." Zarella stepped forward, her expression softening. "I was wrong about you," she admitted. "You have proven your worth. Our people are in your debt." Jack nodded, accepting her words. "We did what we had to. Now, let's focus on repairing our ship and getting back home." As the villagers celebrated their victory, Jack and his crew began preparations for their departure. Aliera guided them to a facility where they could repair their ship using the alien technology. "With our resources, your ship will be ready in no time," she assured them. Over the next few days, the crew worked tirelessly alongside the aliens. Bonds of friendship formed, and cultural exchanges flourished. Jack and Aliera spent many evenings discussing their worlds, sharing stories and dreams. Finally, the day of departure arrived. The Odyssey stood ready, its systems fully restored. The villagers gathered to bid farewell, their faces a mix of sadness and hope. Jack addressed the crowd, his voice resonating with gratitude. "Thank you for your help and hospitality. We will never forget the bond we've formed here." Aliera stepped forward, presenting Jack with a small, glowing crystal. "This is a symbol of our friendship and alliance. Take it with you as a reminder of what we have achieved together." Jack accepted the gift, his heart heavy with emotion. "Thank you, Aliera. We will cherish this always." As the crew boarded the Odyssey, they exchanged final farewells. The ship's engines roared to life, lifting them off the ground and into the sky. Jack looked back at the planet, a sense of fulfillment washing over him. They had faced unimaginable challenges and emerged stronger, forging an unbreakable bond with a new world.